Bam. Hello, everybody. It is Friday night. It is after dark. It is Houston After Dark on a Friday night. I got my booster shot yesterday. Took a real solid 2.5 hour nap earlier. That's why I just set up the show and was like, all right, I'll be awake by time for this. Woo! I needed that. I was lethargic. Third one, my arm, very sore. Feels like a tetanus shot. Okay, so the week was very green. We saw lots of things go puny pop. Saw some big price action. And then everything just kind of settled down again. What we've got going on are the earnings calls are coming up. And in the past, when earnings have been thumbs up, the stocks get hammered. They absolutely just short the heck out of them. So I'm fully expecting them to just save up ammo and just short the minute earnings come out for things. I think AMC is after hours on Monday, I believe. So, yeah, we'll get that. All right. So, yeah, I don't normally give you guys a 3-hour notice before I set up. So, sorry if it's weird. But this also means there's a boatload of chats that I don't know if I'll make it through many of these. Okay. Still gotta get up and at 'em. Teaching today was my super brain fog today. I was my vision was going, I'm trying to read things, and it's just, man. All right. Oh, people telling me to turn off my intro. Not today, suckers. It's off. Ha! Highway Frog. Greeting from Saskatchewan, Canada. Love the kids benefit idea. Oh, kids benefit idea. Oh, there we go. Oh, people want me to do another children's charity. I can do that. I did. What was it, the Story House? Was that what it was called? Second Story. Back in August, I believe. Raised a boatload, $2,500, which was 1% of that group's entire operating budget for a year. That helps a bunch of kids. We can do another similar one. Probably do that for December. This month is going to be prostate cancer research because November. So we're gonna do that for November, and then Christmas time. Let's do a kids charity. I'm game for that. All right. So Charity Tuesday in December will be a kids charity. I'll find another one to do. Try to spread the love as much as we can. Okay. Is there other news to talk about? Oh, the on Twitter, the DRS or else guys were just all over me last night. They make lots of false claims. They keep claiming that when you DRS a share, it removes it from the DTC and takes it out of their system. It does not. It remains a share in the FAST system. The street name on the share changes. And they keep claiming that all the shares have the street name of Seed & Company. They do not. If you're in a brokerage, the name on the share is the brokerage's street name. So they put all those shares in a pool, and then inside the internal computers of the brokerage, they assign permissions and ownership to shares that way. When you DRS a share, you're putting it in your name, but it remains in the DTC's fast computer system, and because that's where the shares are located. It's a digital file in a central computer, and all they're doing is when you DRS is they're putting your name on that file. That's it. They keep claiming that it's taking out the DTC system. It's not. It's still in there. And man, and once I pointed out several times, they started getting really mean. So, and then they're like, it'll end shorting. No, it won't. It won't. They'll make it short still. Why? Because market makers have a superpower, which means they do not have to identify a share to enable to short it. They just have to reasonably assume that they can locate the share within a year. And if they fail to deliver, it gets reset and they do it all over again anyway. So DRSing is not going to end naked shorting. What it can do is it can end the borrowing of shares if the entire float gets locked up. But there are still institutions who lend their shares that are out there, and they can borrow from them. So it's it's a big wash. If you want to DRS your shares, by all means do it. I'm just not. I'm in this to sell my shares for a boatload of money at the absolute peak during the squeeze. And if I've DRS my shares, my chance of doing that is very slim at getting the type of money I want to get by the time the peak arrives. Space Monkey. This late night shit is killing me. And I think every Tuesday should be charity. Also, have you found a shiny shirt at the local Savers? So I'll send it. Oh, I found you a shirt. Oh, you send it by all means. Shiny Shirt Week starts on Monday. So from Monday, and I wear a different shiny shirt every day for not just the week, but for the weeks until I run out. It's usually almost a month. Shiny Shirt Week's the longest week of the year. It's like a month long. So you'll see a different shiny shirt every show until I run out sometime, just before Christmas, I guess. Yeah, Shiny Shirt Week. International Shiny Shirt Week. Hashtag Shiny Shirt Week is coming. Wear your shiny shirts with me. Every November 8th, we begin. Okay, yeah, sorry about the late night shows. Friday is it's the only time I can do it. And tonight is later than usual because I really, really needed a nap. Otherwise, you just get drooling Houston and nothing would have been accomplished. I had to recharge my brain a little bit. And yeah, all right. Searching for the chats here. Oh, Peachy Sunday. Thank you so much, Peachy Sunday, for the super chat there. It is a Peachy Friday right now. For some of you, it's a Peachy Saturday morning. Or Saturday evening, depending on which side of the date line you're on. That's when I was a kid. My dad lived in Okinawa, so I'd fly from. Might as well bring up the old Google Earth because it's story time now. So my dad lived in Okinawa, and it's a pretty long flight to get across the Pacific, and you land in Tokyo, and then you go from Tokyo to Okinawa, and it's 14 hours or something like that. And it blew my mind. Like, we left on a Tuesday and then arrived on a Thursday, and then we left on a Wednesday and arrived on a Tuesday. My brain could not comprehend, like, how. And so I was convinced that if you went to the North Pole up here and you'd cross the international date line again, you just run in circles and you would just go into the future over and over and over. You could Superman it, and you could end up in the future. And I tried to convince my dad of this, and he's like, "That's not how it works." And I was like, "It is, because you cross the date line, and all of a sudden it goes from Tuesday to Wednesday, and then you just run around and you cross the date line again. It goes from Wednesday to Thursday, and you run around and cross the date line again. It goes from Thursday to Friday." And it was years into my childhood before I figured out exactly why that wouldn't work. But I was convinced you could time travel that way. No. Time is a human construct. Or perception of time is, anyway. All right. Oh, super chats. Bob Brandt. Moass, the movie, will need a reference guide for terms like FUD, tendies, monkey butt, tits jacked. Oh, and happy birthday. Probably. Monkey butt. Monkey butt. Are you a happy dog? She's like so bored. Fridays are boring for her. She doesn't really get to do much because I'm actually stuck leaving the house. Space Monkey also asks, how many shorter would a short if they could short the short? All of them. And Nikellis, be big, 100% utilization, 33% short interest, 50% borrow fees. Are they crazy? Can they keep going? How can they keep their gains? I don't know. And in December, Be Big gives out their dividend, which is stock in a whole new company that is a company that I think isn't traded. It's like stock in a company that's not on an exchange, I think is what they're doing. I've been hearing lots of different things from people. I think that's what it is. I think Be Big is going to go be bigger. Plus, they're changing their name, which means the CUSIP will change, which means they have another, like, log on the fire. So, yeah, be big is gonna be big. Dr. Stonk Brule, I think they should reboot to Catch a Predator and have you host. We have transcripts. Let me make it happen. Why not? Why not? Have a seat. I'm just with my Mike's Hard Lemonade, wondering if Sherry's here. Yeah. Why not? I'll do that. Talk to my agent, Dr. Stonk. Okay. A new Call of Duty came out, Apollo God. I bought my one video game of the year this year was Far Cry 6. That's what I bought. So I don't have the Call of Duty game to play this winter. I don't know. Maybe if Moass hits, I'll buy another one. Daphne Berry. Hi, Houston. When you refer to infinity pool and share prices in the $1 million range, are you just exaggerating to illustrate a point of wishful fantastical theory, or is this really realistic? I think it's really realistic. These companies are going to are kind of firms, the funds are going to have to buy this stuff back at some point. If they face liquidation because the market collapses, because GME pulls their stock from the DTC, because the housing bubble pops, China goes under, whatever, what forces their assets under management to collapse or their margin to explode, they're going to get liquidated, and they have to close those positions. You may have some situations where, like after Archegos went under, where Credit Suisse is sitting on a couple of $1 billion in bad bets that Archegos did. They still haven't closed those positions because they don't have the cash to do it. But the American banks are going to have to close those positions, and the federal government will probably print money like nobody's business to make that happen. We've seen stock prices go bonkers. They've gone through the roof before on reverse split scams. On and those can squeeze to tens of millions of dollars a share. So it's happened before. Not everyone is going to get that peak. That peak may be very short lived. It may happen a couple of times. Because what's going to happen is that the price will get so stupid silly, people will go, I'll sell. And they'll sell a bunch of their shares, and then boom, it'll crash. And then other people holding on for like a gajillion dollars a share. It'll build up. And then a whole bunch of people dump a bunch of shares, and it'll probably drop again. But I do think that a significant portion of the ape world will get stupid prices for their stock. And yeah, it's going to happen. They really have no choice. Plus, we are so determined to not sell at any price that, they might flash $10,000 a share. There might be a few folks that have thousands of shares, like, I'm out, easy peasy. But the bulk of GameStop shareholders are folks that only have handfuls of shares. And if they want to retire, they're holding on to them for dear life, and they're not going to let them go until it's retirement prices or beyond retirement prices. Stonkmom67, SFT option still on for 11.10. I think hedge funds will utilize to cash up and then hopefully rocket. Yeah. I think not next Friday, the following Friday. Is that the 22nd? Is that what? Yeah, 22nd. That is going to be the big options chain day. So if we start to see a gamma squeeze, it'll probably be that week. If the price action keeps jumping higher and higher, and a whole bunch more options go into the money, so that week will probably be a good run, I believe. Especially if that's the week they announce, NFT dividend or earnings or something. And then the following week is Thanksgiving, which is a short week, only 3 days of trading, which doesn't give them too much leeway to get all those shares they need for the FTDs and the T+2s on all those stocks. So I think the week of Thanksgiving may be pretty good. That's where I'm putting my bets right now. The week of Thanksgiving, I think, looks pretty good. Okay. Scrolling for the questions. Late night. Hoogity boogity. Justin Kappa TV. Houston, what do you make of the AMC board insiders selling some shares? I believe it's collectively close to 250,000. Why would they just not wait for Moass? Do they have to sell certain shares? Well, I don't think the board at AMC truly understands what's going on. I think they hear about it and they go, no, our share price is really high right now. I might as well sell 250,000 and make myself a bunch of money. And they've got their mansions to pay for and their club memberships and their private yachts to crew and things like that. So they're not thinking like the Moass people. They're already rich. They don't care. And the people at AMC, they're the regular business school guys who played golf with Plotkin and Kenny and everyone else, and they're all friends, and they all went to the same golf clubs and whatnot. And they're just stoked. Their stock price is high, and they think they're getting out at an awesome time, and they're happy. So they're not plotting and being devious like the GME board, where their entire existence is to screw these short hedge funds and fix the entire system. The GME folks are diabolical. The AMC folks are, well, look at this. We happen to some money. Awesome. And that's what they're going on. Matt Newton, hypothetical risk assessment. You're a senator. You can write a law to prevent and end Moass or let the world markets crash. What do you do and why? Not financial advice. If I were a senator, I would write a law right now that says if you naked short for any reason, you go to prison and you pay a 150% fine on the stock you sold naked. And you no longer have the access to the markets. You can't trade, you can't do anything, you're done. I would write that law in a heartbeat and watch the entire market shit itself as it tries to figure out, and because we got to rip that Band-Aid at some point, and it might as well be now when everything else is already teetering on the brink. You may as well do it because the market's gonna have some crashing to do anyway. So you may as well just do it all at once, get it all cleaned up, and rebuild from there. So I would do that in a heartbeat. Gabe Newell's also thinking Thanksgiving week. Is it 22nd? I have to look at my calendar. That Friday is... No, 19th. Sorry, 19th. So Friday the 19th is that's the third Friday. That's when the bulk of options, those long options, expire. So then the 24th is that Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And they've got those 3 days to figure out their gamma squeeze if the price goes up seriously by the 19th. So yeah, I have my dates wrong. 22nd's a Monday. Okay. All right. Brain is ready. Chicken Tender Daddy. That's a good name. What do you think of Girk's options plan? If you've seen it, titled My Options Plan, sort of. I'll have to look that up. I haven't seen it yet. So gotta go look up Girk's My Option Plan. Where's my pen? My options plan, sort of. That's Girk. All right, I'll have to look that up. Again, a good chunk of my day was spent in fog and napping and commuting, wishing I was napping, but being terrified if I fell asleep, I would just be on a bus doing loops around Seattle for hours on end. So I was like, be awake for your stop. Okay. Oh. Ricardo Pestic has got a coordinate. It's a tropical coordinate. We are 5 degrees north, 60 degrees west. Is this in the Caribbean? Where are we? Where are we going? Where are we going, Ricardo? Control V, go. We are going, nope, we're in Brazil. We are, where are we? Angel Falls? Where are we? Yeah, Angel Falls. Good old, like, 1,000-foot tall. Oops, wrong way. Ah, no. Spin me around. Spin me right around. Right around, baby. There we go. Ah, still the wrong way. Got to get over here to this side and then spin around. Come on, spin. Spin so everybody can see Angel Falls. All right, now I lost it. Good job, Houston. There we go. All right, you're there. We're going to spin this way. There we go. Yeah, it's the tabletop mountains they have here. They have like tons of fog that, oh, this is not showing it very well at all. Tons of fog that happens up on these tabletop mountains. And so there's like actually these tiny little river systems up here from all that fog. And then you get 1,000-foot, what is it? 1,200-foot waterfall that comes off of Angel Falls. Go to Chrome and got to click on that guy and go there and go like that and then take the Google Earth off and go here. Angel Falls. Oops. Ah, no, I'm spelling it wrong. 979 meters, so 3,000 feet. That's a good height for a waterfall. Yeah, look at that thing. And there's no hill. Like it's not like it's something's coming downhill. It's these giant buttes, these huge tabletops. And this is all old uplifted oceanic rocks, all limestone and sandstone and stuff. But gorgeous. Absolutely awesome. So the Google Earth relief doesn't do it any justice. But, man, pretty waterfalls. The waterfalls in YPO Valley are like 1,000 feet on the Big Island, and they're pretty awesome to go to. Lots of crawfish in the rivers there. But that's on the bucket list. I want to go there someday too. Maybe do a wingsuit parajumping adventure. I don't know. But jungles are awesome. Big Houston. Space Monkey, first off, my $2 super chat gets ignored. Rude. Oh, the $2 ones don't pop up. I have to when I scroll through the feed, they finally see them. It's only the blue ones don't show up right away. It's the green and above colors. I don't know what that means, but the $2 ones don't show up. Super bag holder and Mark. Should I duck and cover or run? People were asking about Mark not too long ago, and I didn't know anything about it, so I just was like, no, I don't think about what their future holds, so I didn't really talk about it. But what if you know anything? Do they have? Are they Mark short interest? What we got here? Market Beat is saying that short interest, Citadel dumped a bunch of their mark. They dumped 80,000 shares. Simplex Trading bought a bunch of them. Susquehanna bought a bunch of them. Interesting. Yeah. And then there's a whole bunch available for borrowing, it looks like. I don't know anything about them. Short interest. We've got, 10 million shares sold short for sure, self-reported. It looks like they're people are doing something with them. I don't know, Space Monkey. We'll have to dig deeper into these guys to see what's happening. Sorry for missing that one. Andrew Stewart, thank you for the super chat. I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing the blue ones. I don't know why the blue ones don't pop up top like all the others. It's weird. Monty, depression or recession? Which one are we headed for? If we pass the debt ceiling, probably recession. If we don't pass the debt ceiling, gigantic depression. technically we were in depression last year at the beginning of COVID because the economy retracted like 30%. So if I think if it tracks more than 5% 2 quarters in a row, it's technically a depression. Can't remember, maybe it's 10% 2 quarters in a row. But yeah, so we're definitely a recession last year, if not a technical depression as a result of COVID. But this, if we don't raise the debt ceiling, every financial institution, pension fund, sovereign wealth fund in the world collapses, and that's a mess that's really hard to clean up. So yeah, and the United States won't be able to borrow money again. Our dollar will be useless. We'll have no purchasing power. We will be screwed. So we got like 28 days to figure that out. Okay. Ba-ba-boom. Sitting Bull says he wants me to open Houston with a Moass. I will gladly say that when we Moass. Williams sides, are they going to pass the infrastructure bill for carbon capture? I think most of the progressive language in the infrastructure bills, the Build Back Better, is getting ripped out. We are really not... We're not doing the truly useful things that we could be doing in that bill. And carbon capture, we need to start capturing carbon. We do. We need to start planting trees. We need to start sucking it out of the air with machines. We need to figure out ways we can take it and sequester it in the ground. Because otherwise we're running into all sorts of problems. The high tide, and granted it's King's tides right now, and but the high tide today was so high that the ferry boat was above the shoreline, and we had to go down the gangplank, and we couldn't use the passenger side one because the passenger side gangplank couldn't go high enough, and we had to exit the boat via the car deck. That's what the future is going to look like if the ocean levels keep rising, is that our infrastructure and oftentimes is going to become friggin' useless, and that we're going to run into all sorts of problems with ports and supply chains even more if we get coastal flooding in important areas, if we've got refineries getting flooded, solid waste treatment plants getting flooded, chemical factories getting flooded. We're going to be shit creek globally. So we need to start, sucking this carbon out of the atmosphere and figure out some way to do it. And we start investing in that now. Rather than blowing people up, we should probably be saving the planet. Grandpa Barney, good evening, my brother. So tell me what you know and your thoughts on Prague. Just got on the podcast. People keep Prague is popping up all over. And people keep asking me, and I keep not digging deep. But they just keep getting hammered. Every time I look at it, their stock price is red. They had a spike in January, a mild spike in January. But it's a $3 stock generally. So in December 2nd, $3.29, January 27th, $7, down to 82 cents in August, back up to $3. So, if you bought in August, you're sitting pretty right now. I don't know where it's going to go further from there. I assume that that everyone's talking about them, that they're probably fairly beaten down. They have a positive beta though, so they're following the market. Yeah. Yeah, they're following the market right now, but I don't know if they're gonna go much further than that. Nick Callis, Joe is looking pretty. 3 sheets to the win. What are the odds he makes way for Kamala to take over? Pretty high. I mean, he's old. He's old as shit. It's a lot. Like, campaigning alone is a lot to require of somebody in their mid-70s. I hope that when I'm in my 70s, I can do a lot more sitting than campaigning. And then, changing time zones is brutal on all sorts of people. I'm a wreck. I remember I went to 2010, I went and did a trip to Europe. After my fiance was killed, and to go visit her family. And since I was going to be in Europe, I was like, oh, might as well just travel and like see some sights. So I was there for 5 weeks, and I did a overnight flight from Seattle to Paris. And my plan was like, I was working, and then went to the airport. Was like, I'll sleep on the plane. I'm so tired, I'll sleep on the plane. And I sat next to this guy who was one of the most interesting individuals I've ever had chat with. He was a solid-state physicist for Micron Technologies, and he had won 4 gold medals at the Gay Games in bowling. And he was on his way to do a tour of the pyramids in Egypt or something with friends. And we had chit-chatted about like science nerd stuff for 11 hours. And then I landed in Paris, having not slept at all. And my friend met me there, and she dragged me all over the city. And there's pictures of me in places I have no recollection of ever being. I'm like, I actually was at Notre Dame. I don't remember being there. Oh, there's pictures of me in those places. I don't remember there being there at all. And then I was jet lagged for like a month. I never caught up. Today was the first nap I've had in probably 3 years. I was narcoleptic and fell asleep everywhere. The minute I sat down, I was asleep, and it was like that. It was like that for a month. And so, you got Joe Biden, who's 150 million years old, hopping on planes, landing in Belgium or Rome or wherever he's going, and he's expected to like perform. I just don't see that happening. You have to like sleep for 10 hours to figure out what the hell's going on when you change that many time zones. It's I all it's gonna do is just make him worse and age even quicker, I think. So we might have a President Kamala Harris sooner than later here. Okay, I think I missed a super chat. I did, from Levi Venner. Houston, what will it mean for shareholders of GME if Ryan Cohen starts his own exchange with Loopring? How do you see that playing out? That is the forced squeeze right there. That's what would happen. Because Ryan Cohen would have to give the DTCC a reason and a 90-day notice. Be like, hey, you guys can't do your job. I'm out. And then the DTCC has 90 days to consolidate those shares and then hand them over to Ryan Cohen to put on his new exchange. That's when we'd get Moass. That's when we would have share prices that are absolutely stupid, because they would not only would margins getting called liquidations, but you got the forced buying of closing out positions just so that we can clear the nakeds and then get those things over to the new exchange. You cannot, without making this SEC go, that's interesting, you cannot leave a single synthetic share at all when the date comes and you have to move everything over to the new exchange. Because if there's millions of synthetic shares still left in people's brokerage accounts when they move those things over to the new exchange on the Loopring layer 2, then it's all the proof you need that naked short selling was out of control. And so they're going to have to close every single solitary thing. Yeah. Nick wants to know how my fiance died. She was killed by a drunk driver. She was doing grad school at Florida International in Miami and left her friends one night going southbound on I-75, and a drunk guy got on the highway heading northbound on the southbound lane at 100 miles an hour and just head on killed both of them. And it was the third time that person had gone the wrong direction on the highway, and this time he actually killed somebody. It was pretty tragic. It was pretty awful. So don't drive drunk. Don't get on the highway wrong way. Don't be a dick. That's what I get from that. Because you ruin lives. And I didn't finish my Astro grad degree at the time because I was in no shape to do school or care about anything. Yeah, it's very sudden and awful, and I don't recommend anybody having that experience. Not good for your brain, not good for your soul. Space Monkey, so if I duck and cover from Mark, use $1,000 to buy GME, not AMC? I mean, I personally am only going for more GME. Those are my plays right now. Is I think that they're going to announce this NFT dividend sometime in the next couple of weeks, and so I'm trying to gather up whatever scraps I have. I'm trying to gather up more GME when I can, and then I may next week just clear out every other stock I own and pick up more GME. Just be like, okay, done. We're getting it. Well, cost hit stupid numbers. 2 million float. I think cost can reach crazy numbers. Remember, it hit $127 a share back in January. And it got over 40 back in June when it had its last spike. Costs is, cost isn't also ran. You got GME way up here. Their AMC, your Bed Bath & Beyond, and so on. Cost isn't also ran in that group. They are, the children who inherited the company, they seem like they just don't care. 95% of the company is owned by the kids or the people who inherit it, or the company itself. And that 2 million that trades is very small. And we'll see volumes of like 12 million. So they won that lawsuit against Apple last month, September, October, sometime. We saw 12 million shares trade. There's only 2 million shares in existence. Why are 12 million shares trading in a matter of hours? Right? I didn't sell any of mine. As far as I know, everyone else that has cost didn't sell any of theirs. Where are these shares coming from? So the price went up to like $25 or something in last month, and then settled back down, dropped to like 14 and before climbing back up again. They're definitely a squeeze play. Their float is so tiny. They just can't, and it's hard to generate naked shares, using options because there's no options chain. Their float's too small. So they have to like really, really, really go out of their way to generate naked shares for costs. It has to be very deliberate. So I think costs is definitely still a giant squeeze play as well. Man, you guys are sending a lot of super chats tonight. So many bright color problems. Grandpa Barney, Loop Ring will rocket, and then more stocks that get beat down will move over. Also, sorry for your loss, my brother. I go on calls, pull accidents. Oh yeah, they do suck. It's awful. Thank you. Yeah, I think if GME is successful in moving to a new exchange, again, still this is like speculative, but judging from the language coming out of Loopring and the code that's showing up on GitHub and stuff, it seems like that's what they're moving towards. The 741 everyone keeps talking about is 721 plus ERC20 makes 741. So you NFT the entire float or all the stock that exists for GameStop, and then you break that into ERC20 tokens, non-fungible ERC20 tokens, and that's what you sell on your exchange, and you're good to go. They are making lots of moves in other ways on the blockchain. I wouldn't doubt if we see, reselling of games using the blockchain for verification of like, yeah, I've sold my old Call of Duty game, someone else can buy it or whatever. Wouldn't doubt if we see exchange of in-game features, skins, weapons, XP, coins, whatever, done on this exchange. Like I want to trade all these skins I have for Call of Duty to get gold in World of Warcraft or whatever. Like I think they're building some sort of system for that. So I think their NFT plans go way beyond just screwing over their hedge funds, but actually long-term for their business model as well. Andrew Stewart, I sent coordinates with my last super chat. Did not show up. Oh, weird. Yeah, nothing popped up in there. Where is some Andrew Stewart coordinates? I don't see any coordinates. I'm gonna have to scroll and scroll and scroll. If you want to post them again real quick, I will jump on those coordinates because I'm seeing coordinates from other people. I'll try to get to those as well. Got coordinates from Doug. Yeah, I don't see any. Cut and paste those buddies back in there, and yeah. Yeah, I don't see nothing popped up. Sorry, Andrew. If you set them in there again, I will get it this time. I'll go back to the bottom of the scroll, and I'll get it. Project Sun asks, any wild animal stories from your travels? A few. When I was a kid, we were in Wyoming National Park. So somewhere before 4th grade, my mom kind of had a midlife crisis and decided to put our house up for sale here on Bainbridge and move us all the way across the country back to our hometown in Bellevue, New Jersey. And so we did this big, long camping trip across the country and did all the parks and a lot of flat spots in the middle of the country. And we were staying in Yellowstone. And in the middle of the night, I woke up, my mom woke up to this crazy sound, and outlined with the moonlight was this giant antlers of a moose, and its head was pressed into the tent, and it was smelling my asleep sister's hair just over and over and over, because she had some sort of, I don't know, fruit scented hair shampoo. And we were terrified that this like 3,000-pound moose was going to trample us and just kill us inside the tent. And it was very tense. That was probably my first visceral animal memory. I watched a wild donkey get taken down by a cougar in Nevada once while I was having lunch on the bed of my truck. That was terrifying, and I did not turn my back on the canyon I was in at all. I was like, there are two canyons. I think I've shown them before when I've gone Google Earth. I talked about the Carson Sink, and it's out there. So where I hurt my hand really bad when I fell off a cliff. Come on, Google Earth. Here we go. Da, 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 da. We got to go up to the north. Got to go Shanghai Canyon, Nevada. Go. Just, oh, facing the wrong way. That's why we're not going. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yep. Go Shanghai Canyon. Here we go. So there's Shady Run and Shanghai Canyon, and I was, which one was I in? I can't remember. I was in Shady Run, which was this one, and the Shanghai Canyon was the next big canyon over. So my truck was parked about here, and I watched a wild donkey that was just a burro, just wandering around the desert, and this mountain lion came running out and just tackled it and slaughtered it. I don't know. It was probably a couple hundred yards from me. Maybe how far is that? It is a third of a mile. So yeah, 1,000 yards, 800 yards, somewhere around there. That was terrifying. I watched Colorado with my friends. We were driving. We were camping in one spot, and then there was a town that was about half an hour away where we could like take a shower and get food. We were driving back from the town, and this family of mises. It was a big bull, a cow, and then two little calves. And there was a like a pine fence, like a wood pine fence, and the baby cow, the baby moose jumped over the fence and ran away when our car approached. And then the cow tried to jump over the fence and caught her front paws and did an entire somersault. And if a moose could blush, that moose was definitely like beet red and couldn't even look at us. And the big bull just shook its head at her and then walked around the fence to the other side. But if you ever seen a moose do a somersault, they are not limber. I'll tell you that much. It's a very stiff looking somersault. Okay, Andrew Stewart, did you pop in your things here? Andrew Stewart. Where are you? Where? Oh, just pop in your coordinates, Andrew, and I'll put them in here. Boom. Okay. Well, let's get back in here. Duke of Waffle says Girk's Austrian play is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity if the GME situation is solved. Yeah, that would be... All right, I'm going to look that up. I have to give that one... yeah. Beans Brigade Gaming. Figure it would be good for Houston since he hasn't seen it either. I have not seen it, so I do need to get in there and figure out what that's all about. Bill Coin, print more money? Holy moly, inflation will go to the moon for years and years. Probably. We may be facing quite the inflationary period. But at the same time, when Moass hits, there's going to be a lot of folks who lose out big time. We have to remember that. There's going to be people who lose jobs. I'm sorry, I wolfed on a bunch of food right before I came on because I took that nap. I'm a burpy Houston today. But there's going to be a lot of folks that are on the losing end of this, and that means limited travel, gas prices dropping, tourist prices dropping, home sales dropping, so home prices go down. So we're going to, there'll be, yes, lots of money in our hands, but there's going to be a lot of folks who don't have it. And we have to, look out for them, think of them, something. Yeah. All right, I got these coordinates from Steve Gangan. Let's see what Steve wants. Where's he sending us? We're going Midwest. We're in a farm field. We are in a house? A barn? Where are we? We're somewhere. I have no idea what this place is. Is there a name for it? Oh, there is. Ashfall fossil beds. Ah, so these are a bunch of fossils that are covered in ash from Yellowstone volcanoes. What was it, Nebraska? Where are we? Yep, we're in Nebraska. There we go. It's a good place to get the heads of saber-toothed tigers. I really want a saber-toothed tiger skull so bad. They're just the coolest looking skulls. Yeah. So these are all from, they're all created from the ash of Yellowstone. Just wiping stuff out over years and years and years. Good spot. Good spot, Steve Gangan. Oh, Gagagan. I might butcher people's names. I need to get better at reading names. Sitting Bull, have you seen Billion Dollar Code, a Netflix movie showing how Google Earth code got stolen from a small group of UK hackers, Apple Garage startup types? No. I'll check that out. Billion Dollar Code. What was that? What did you just do? The big old hacker herk there. Andrew Stewart. There we go. Put them in like 3 times. Accidentally blocked by mods. Uh-oh. Maybe because I said not to remind you about turn off intro. No, let's see here. We got 42 degrees north, 109. What is this? This will be Idaho? Wyoming? Oops. Come on. Get in there. Get in there, Andrew Stewart's code coordinates. We are going all the way over to... Where are we? Wind River Range? Tetons? Wolf's Head, Wind River. There we go. Yeah. What's Wolf's Head? Wolf's Head, Wind River, East Ridge, Wolf's Head. Peak Cirque Towers, Wind River, right on the Wolf's Head. Recognized historic climbing. 50 classic climbs in North America. All right. It's the fancy climbing. There's a cool little Pingora Peak. What's it look like? Come on. Oh, look at that peak. That's steep. That's a steep peak. Dang. I did the Wilderness First Responders course in the Wind River Range, but I didn't do any mountain climbing there. It was That was 20-something years ago. But Wind River Range is beautiful. It's a really cool range. And there's good gold in that range too. Yeah. It's cool through there. If you have a chance to go to Wyoming. Go to the mountains in Wyoming. They're purty. And Yellowstone's awesome. Jackson Hole's awesome. The Grand Tetons are awesome. Yeah. All right. Groovy spot. Thank you, Andrew. Okay. Monty asks, what are the top 3 countries to live in besides the United States? I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. I have 2 friends that work in tech, and they discovered they can do their jobs remotely, and they moved to Kuala Lumpur, and they are loving Malaysia. And the amount of money they make working in tech for a company in Seattle, they live like gods in Kuala Lumpur. They were able to buy a luxury condo for like $35,000, and it's got a spa and massages and the whole works, and they're loving it. But some people like bigger and better infrastructure. The infrastructure thing, Switzerland, Norway, Japan, they've infrastructure dialed. I really like Norway. When I was there, I was like, man, everything here is just quality. It reminded me a lot of Japan, actually. You got your stave churches that were built 1,000 years ago, and they're still sitting there beautiful as ever. And it reminded me of like wood temples, Zen Buddhist temples in Japan that are 1,000 years old, and they look brand new. There's a quality of craftsmanship that goes into those things that you just don't find elsewhere. I mean, here in the United States, if something gets to 30 years old, we're like, go tear it down. It's old. It's falling apart. Yeah. So, top 3. I would, if I were to live somewhere outside the United States, I would want to guarantee that I have health care. There's a lot of folks who they'll move to Panama or something because it's cheaper and for their retirement, and they discover that the health system isn't what they need, and they might be hours away from a hospital and they have a heart attack, and then that's it. So I think if you're going to think retirement and think long term, you may want to be somewhere that's close to a good hospital. Because all we do is we get older, and as we get older, ailments are going to happen. So we want to make sure we can mitigate that as best we can, right? Dr. Dossier says, Costa Rica. Costa Rica does have a better hospital system than we do. And San Jose looks really nice. I've been to the coast of Costa Rica when I was a kid. Went surfing there with my brother, and it was beautiful. There were so many bugs, and the howler monkeys were absolutely evil. They will just piss and shit all over you. So our little cabin was like a couple 100 yards into the trees, and we'd have to sprint to the beach with our surfboards, and the monkeys would just chase us down, screaming and throwing piss and shit at us as we're trying to run to the beach. And then we get to the black sand beach that was absolutely just inhuman hot, just so hot. And you just run across the sand, burning your feet, and then jump in the water and surf all day. And then the evening time it was the opposite. You had to sprint from the beach across the screaming hot black sand through the trees. But this time the monkeys knew you were coming, so they had a head start on you and just raining piss and shit on you. And we get inside the cabin. And in the cabin, there was all these weird beetles, and they were like puppy dogs. They would just follow us around waiting for crumbs to drop. So we opened the door, and all these beetles just waiting by the door for us like dogs. And we would go to the kitchen, and they would just follow us around, and we'd wait for scraps of food and stuff to fall. It was very weird experience. So, but I enjoyed Costa Rica. I didn't get to explore much beyond that cabin in the airport in San Jose. But yeah, I would go back. I'd like to go back someday. Adam Watkins, apparently in the infrastructure bill, there's funding for a new tunnel from Jackson Hole to Victor, Idaho. Really? So we got Jackson Hole here. Must be a tunnel going this way. Oh, Victor over here. So, must be some tunnel along Highway 22. My guess is to probably avoid this. Go straight through there. I remember coming down this road when I was a kid, just being absolutely blown away with how steep it was. and it was just like a straight shot. Yeah, I could see the United States needs more tunnels. We are desperately behind the rest of the world in tunnels. When I did 2 trains in Norway, the first train was from Oslo over to Bergen, and it was like a 9-hour train ride. And again, I was still jet lagged, so I kept passing out. But there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tunnels all the way through here to get to Bergen. In the United States, we don't make tunnels. We just go up and over things. And there's such cool tunnels in the world. There's a tunnel outside Oslo that is a spiral. Where is it? I don't remember. I have to look it up on Chrome here. But it is one of the coolest things. It's a highway that like spirals all the way top of this mountain, and then you continue out just like a parking garage or something. Turn off Google Earth. Go farmers. Spiral tunnel Oslo. Drammen. Yes, Drammen spiral. So you pop in at the bottom, you spin all the way up. You go up 600 feet. It's 1,600 meters long, so a kilometer long. No, kilometer and a half long. About a mile. Let's see here. Drammen Tunnel. Go to Google Earth. Put the Google Earth back on. Oh, Drammen, here we go. I was on the wrong side of Oslo. Yeah, so you pop in somewhere inside here, and then you spiral all the way up the top. Excuse me. It goes in. Hi, Houston. See if we got images. I want to do that. Drammen spiral. Turn that off. Do images. Yeah, here we go. This is what it looks like. You enter the bottom and you spiral up inside this mountain and then pop up at the top where there's like a resort and a restaurant. It's pretty crazy. And then you've got, there's a movie called Nordwand, which is about the first almost successful attempt of the north face of the Eiger in Switzerland, which no one had done before. And the Swiss, we're talking pre-World War II money, spent like $17 million building this tunnel that went up inside the Eiger to the top so people could like visit the top of the Eiger. And they just build tunnels for the hell of it. And then the Swiss have a 30-mile tunnel for trains that go underneath all their mountains. They build tunnels, and we are so bad at it, and we just don't do it here in the U.S. I'm all about digging holes through things. Not only is it cool, but it's very useful. Cough Burp says, I learned a hard lesson in Costa Rica on my honeymoon that in order to drive, you have to have your U.S. driver's license and your U.S. passport, or else you can be arrested. Good to know. So carry those on you at all times. Friendface McRiffhard, Houston, hope all's well. Where's your go-to place when you want to see Super Starry Night? Any tips from where I should go locally? I live near Port Dover, Ontario. If you're in Ontario, I would find a nice big field or the one hill that's near you and wait for a clear night, because you definitely can get out into the Tules in Ontario. Where's Port Dover? Port Dover, Ontario. Let's go back to the maps. Put on the Google Earth. Go back to the Google Earth over here. Port Dover, Ontario. I assume it's on a lake. If you're in Port Dover, Ontario. As we fly across the world, we are on a lake. Okay, so you might have some urban. You've got Erie across the water from you. Got Buffalo to the east. You got Hamilton, those to the north. You might be in a pretty good spot to get away from light pollution. But if you want to get to where there's nobody, you just go to the other side of the Great Lakes, and there's nothing up here at all. Driving to the family land out in Timmins, I went above Lake Superior out to Timmins, and it was like, I don't know, hours, 4 or 5 hours between towns. And you'd go from one town that spoke all French to another town that spoke only English, another town that spoke only French, another town that spoke only English the entire way. And they always had poutine stands, like the people were loyal to, one at either end of the town. And if you went to one, you like weren't friends with anybody, went to the other one. It was very weird. But delicious fries and gravy everywhere you went. Where I like to go is Hawaii. Hawaii is the best place to look at stars in the entire world. Go on top of Mauna Kea. It's the best place there is. Right there. Almost no light pollution. You're above everything. Super clear. Air is very calm. Fantastic. Otherwise, just get to places where it's dry and the air is fairly stable and nice and clear because you don't want the stars twinkling. Defounty. Defounty. Did you read by chance read my latest DD on Bank of America and Morgan Stanley? Yes, I read a good chunk of it. It was quite heady. I have to read a second time. I read it at like 3 a.m. last night, and someone sent it to me, and I was like, damn, there's a lot in here. I've got to read it again, though. But yes, I think you're right. Bank of America, I don't think Bank of America will exist. I think they're going to be the sacrificial lamb for sure when this Moass is. They are so deep into Citadel that they're toast. Puts on Bank of America. They are in trouble. I agree. And read post the link in the chat so everyone can see that it's a good read. It out very well. Yes, or search for it on Superstonk. Was it Superstonk or was it in GME? I think it's Superstonk. Post in there. Hayden J. Risty, Houston, how many languages do you speak? At one point when I was a kid, I could understand a lot of Japanese. Like I could understand when my stepmom was yelling at my little sister to clean her room and stuff, but I couldn't say it very well. I spoke French-ish, but it's been 11 years since I spoke any French, and so I'm going to be in France for 2 whole days in January, so maybe some of it will come back. But I spoke enough to like navigate around France, and when I went to Tunisia, I could navigate there. And I basically I know enough in other languages to insult people's mothers and ask for cheese, and that's about the span of my language skills, which is pretty embarrassing because my oldest sister speaks like 11 languages and is a linguist. She speaks English, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, French, Russian, Latvian, Ukrainian, Korean. I'm missing something in there. But you could take her and drop her like on Papua New Guinea in some unknown, uncontacted tribe, and she would speak their language in like 2 days. She's a freak, absolute freak of nature. And I'm very jealous of her training and skill because she never learned a second language until she was like 18 when she moved to Japan and learned Japanese there. And then she moved to Taiwan and learned Chinese, and then she crewed on a Korean boat that went between Korea and the Philippines or something and learned those 2 languages, and absolutely badass. And I wish when I moved to Austria, I was like, I'm going to learn German. Everyone's like, why? We all speak English. And then everyone just spoke English to me and never got a chance to learn German. Even the Japanese guy in the team was like, don't bother. I'll just speak English to you. So yeah. What happens with loans you have with Bank of America if they go bankrupt? All those assets, this is from AM7, all those assets get sold. So, another bank will come along, bid on all of the assets that Bank of America has, and then it'll just transfer over to those. So in 2008, when Wachovia went under, I had a car loan with Wachovia. Wachovia went under, and then all of a sudden my car loan was now a Wells Fargo loan. I had friends that had mortgages with Washington Mutual, and the mortgage suddenly became a Chase mortgage because Chase bought Washington Mutual. So that's how it just transfers. They just take the promissory note, leave it in its filing cabinet, and then the next bank takes over, and they assume they assume responsibility for the promissory note. Everton Lacerda, did you like Stavanger? Did my PhD there. Love it. Stavanger was rad and beautiful. That's where Pregastol, pedestal rock is. So the other night, when I was doing on Twitch, I was doing GeoGuessr, and there was a place in Stavanger, and I couldn't find it. I was so tired, I couldn't find it. It was like 2 a.m. I couldn't find the right road. It was like, Stavanger. But you can do a cool cruise, go down the gorge, and Pregastol Rock is somewhere. Is it up this one, or is it down this one? I can't remember. But it's like, you'll see lots of Instagram models posing on this rock, and it's this big jutting out thing that's 1,000 feet, 500 meters, whatever, in the air, sticking out over the fjord, and it's beautiful. And we did the high-speed ferry from Bergen up here to Stavanger, and that was awesome. And it was like the only beautiful, clear, sunny day I had was this boat ride, and it was just beautiful. If you have a chance to do a high-speed ferry from Bergen to Stavanger, do it. And then we got to Stavanger, got into the port. It was late. It was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night and cold in October. And like, oh, bus stop's over there. We had to look it up to figure out how to get to our hotel. And our hotel was St. Vitus Hotel. And we're waiting for the bus, for the number 4 bus. And we're waiting there. It's cold. We got our luggage. And here comes the bus. So we stand up and do like the whole like, hey bus, we're here. And the bus goes right past us. What the hell? And so we're like, oh crap, next bus is like in half an hour. And so while we're there, all these drunk guys come up, drunk Norwegian men who, if you were in the United States, you'd be terrified of these people. They look like, cracked out nom-vets that could snap at any minute, but they're just drunk Norwegians. And they're trying to make conversation with us, but they're really hammered. And they find out we're English. And, oh, from America? Where in America are you from? And I've been to America 9 times. Like, cool. We're from Seattle. Seattle? I've been to Seattle 4 times. My daughter's doing her medical doctorate at the University of Washington. I'm like, oh. So anyway, next bus comes along. And all of us, my friend and I, and all the drunk people, we stand up to wave at the bus. The bus goes, boom, just blows right past us. And we're like, what the fuck? And so we're chit-chatting again for another half an hour. Third time the bus comes around, boom, blows right past us. So finally the drunk guys are like, we're going to help you get to your place. And they flag down a taxi, and they tell the taxi cab driver where we're going and stuff us in there and send us on our way. And taxi driver was like, oh, you guys are going to the hospital? I'm like, no, we're going to hotel. He's like, you're going to the hospital. No, we're going to hotel, hospital, hotel, hospital, hotel, hospital. And he's driving. I'm like, dude, we're not going to a hospital. And then he takes us to the St. Vitus. Let's see if we can find it here. St. Vitus. Did I spell it right? Hospital? There it is. Nope, that's not it. Is it St. Vitus? I thought it was St. Vitus. I might have it wrong. Nope. I think it may be part of this college even. But they took us to this hospital, and he's like, dude, this is a hospital. He's like, no, it's your hotel. Just get out. And so we get out, go in, and there's like a check-in for the patients, and then there's like a hospital concierge. And Norway is so wonderful that if you're sick, they put you in a hotel room so your family can be near you. It's fantastic. And then you get your continental breakfast in their cafeteria. So in the mornings we get like our eggs and bread and whatever. They like putting salami and stuff on their food, and fish eggs and whatever weird things. And it was us, a whole bunch of mothers with their newborn babies and their little bassinets, and then like a guy in total traction being spoon-fed things while he's in a body cast, and burn victims, and we're all eating eggs. It was very weird experience to like stay in a hospital. But the room was like $35 a night. It was fantastic. But yes, I enjoyed Stavanger. Stavanger is a beautiful place. It's really cool. It's kind of the heart of the oil industry for Norway, I take it. A lot of big ships and rigs and things in there. Okay, I've been yammering. Beans Brigade Gaming, Houston. Can the DTCC reject RC's request to take GME off the exchange? Do they need compelling enough evidence when they request or risk being denied? I don't think they can deny. I think as long as you give them 90 days notice and a reason, you can pull your shares out of there. Remember, the DTCC is a private company. It is not a federal regulator. They're kind of a pseudo-regulator, but they're a private company, and you don't have to do business with them. You can say, I'm not doing business with you. Give me my shit back. And if you've got a reason that violates the contract you have with them, such as I offer this dividend, you didn't deliver it to everybody because you didn't do anything about these naked shorts, that's a good enough reason to pull your stuff out of there. So, yeah. Oh no, did G-Founty, did your stuff not post? Yeah, mods, let them post this thing unless they're not letting them post links or something in there. Yeah. So let him post his link to his Bank of America stuff. It's good. It's a good read. I highly recommend people getting a chance. Beats by the Wood. Houston, what is a marine layer? It'd be hard to breathe in Los Angeles right now. That's because you are in an inversion. So you get a combination of warm air from the land and moisture from the ocean, and you can get rising air that makes this marine layer over different cities. And it's like thin light clouds or suspended fog. And you have basically descending air from above meeting rising air from below, and it makes this ceiling so that you don't get much transition of air, and it kind of traps everything. So if we go to Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is kind of a bowl. Zoom out, zoom across the world. Ba-ding! Whoop. So Los Angeles is basically a series of valleys. So you got like your the valley, San Fernando Valley. You have the big giant valley on the coast, of which Los Angeles proper and most of Orange County is in. And you've got San Bernardino and Riverside out here. What happens is you get these things called Santa Ana winds, where the wind comes from the desert out here, blows offshore. It's great for surfing because you have the waves coming in and the wind holds up the wave, which makes for fantastic tubes. So you really want to do some good surfing out there. But it's also when fires can rage, because it will blow all the fires from out here into the cities. You also get stung by lots of bees out on the beach during Santa Ana winds. But it can also trap a marine layer in the area, which means like the stink of humanity has no way of escaping. It normally blows east and just clears out, but now all the stink of everything is kind of getting trapped between the ocean and the mountains, and all the exhaust fumes from cars, from coal fire plants, diesels, farts from humans, decay, garbage, all that stuff starts to get trapped. And we had a really gnarly one in Seattle, I don't know, 5 years ago or so, where the entire Puget Sound got trapped in this inversion where the cloud level, so the ceiling was at a couple thousand feet. And so above that, clear, beautiful, sunny skies. Below that was dark and disgusting. And all of Seattle smelled like farts. This was like January 2016, somewhere in there. I mean, like, seriously, you went outside, it smelled like someone just farted in your mouth. It was disgusting. And that was the stink of humanity. The weird thing was, this is in January, right? The people who are above the inversion layer out in the foothills of the Cascades, the folks out here, the temperature was like 85 degrees Fahrenheit in January. It was the highest temperatures ever recorded in January for these locations. It was weird. And then it was like 40 degrees in this weird, cold, farty, smoggy marine layer junkland. Yeah, so there's a quick explanation for marine layers. If you get stuck with one, sorry. And sometimes you get like the June gloom out on the coast, especially in San Diego. So, you know, San Diego's usually sunny, but for some reason in June every year, they get socked in with a marine layer and it just doesn't warm up. So you can have this June gloom where it's kind of chilly and covered in clouds every day, but you go a few miles inland and all of a sudden it's sunny and 100 billion degrees and people are just like bursting into flames and stuff. But the June gloom in San Diego is real, and that's all marine layer. Monkey's just staring at me. Buddy, come on. Get up on your bed. Get up on your bed and quit staring at me. There you go, buddy. All right. Yeah, cuddle up. Good dog. What a good dog. Yeah. Okay. Everton Lacerda, so you did your PhD in Stavanger. What you do PhD in? I'm curious. Shane E says, nowadays banks almost immediately sell off loans, sell the risk, get the cash. Yep. And the paper trail can vanish. A lot of times they sell the loans and then they'll send boxes of material and it gets lost and that loan gets sold again. And so if you ever get foreclosed on, take it to court and have them prove that they have your promissory note. Airplane Mode says, damn, Houston sis is amazing. All my sisters are amazing. They're way smarter than I am. My other older sister has PhD, 4 master's degrees. She's a captain in the Navy, and she's up for admiral. So she's a tenured professor in physics as well. So she's above and beyond. I am not the impressive one in my family. They are way cooler than I am. And my little sister is probably the most brilliant and athletic person in the family. And she's about to start med school. And yeah, she's way but they're way smarter than I am. I'm a big dummy compared to them. I'm just more of an extrovert. That's all it is. George E. House passes $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Hey, all right, we got something passed. It's about a third of what it should be, but it's passed. So hopefully we'll get some. Hopefully we'll get at least the funding for semiconductor factories is in there because we desperately need semiconductors really bad. Our supply chain is failing. Monty, where can I put millions of dollars if I don't want to invest in the stock market or crypto market to make sure all my money is FDIC insured? You may have to open up lots and lots of bank accounts that max out at $250,000. So each account is insured by FDIC to $250,000. So you may want to talk to your bank and be like, hey, I have $4 million. I'm going to have to open up 16 different bank accounts with you. And so each one is insured at $250,000. And when you log into your bank account online, you're going to see like account summaries that's a mile long. But that's probably the only way you can do it to make sure your money is FDIC insured. I remember there's a similar one for credit unions, whatever it's called. They have NDIC or whatever it is. But that might be the only way you can guarantee that it's FDIC insured. Because anything beyond 250 is not going to be insured. Pete Diaz says, now it gets to the Senate where it might stall. Yeah. Got Manchin and Cinema, man. Those two are just awful. And they don't know what they want. That's what, like, it's one thing to say, I don't want that in there. Well, what do you want? I don't know. That helps no one. Just tell us what you want and we'll figure out. That's how you negotiate. You can't just be like, no. Well, what do you propose in response to it? I don't know. Yeah. I'll Get Real says links aren't showing up. So, I wonder if I can get the link in there. I can't remember who sent it to me. Shoot. I'll send it to me on DM it to me, your Bank of America thing, and I'll post it on Twitter. So DM it to me on Twitter, and I'll post it on there so people can see. Jeffrey Schaefer. We've got somewhere, it looks like in the Midwest, he wants to go to. A lot of Midwest today. Where are we going? We're going to, where are we? In Iowa? Illinois? There's a farm. There's a farm. Rush Lake Road. Nice little meandering river there. Rush City. A lot of lakes. Goose Lake. Where are we? We are Minnesota. There we go. I don't know what this little farm has to do with anything, but it's right next to I-35. And are we looking for bodies? What we got here? What we got here, Jeffrey? Other than just some place in Minnesota, next to a field, next to some housing development, with some trucks and some parking lots. Don't park there, though. That's no parking. I don't know. Don't know what that is. Ideas Matter 7707. I bought puts on Bank of America and which one's BOCF? More than a month ago. Bank of America is in real trouble. Yeah, Bank of America is in very trouble. Which one's BOCF? Which one? All the names. BOCF Financial. I didn't know BOCF Financial was also in trouble as well. Something to look at. Yeah. I'll have to look at BOCF Financial. Are they tied in with some shady Citadel stuff as well? But I think Bank of America is toast. I don't think that they're going to survive. They're gone. Everton Lasarda did my PhD in math education, but my thesis was about primary school teachers in Malawi, Africa. Norway has lots of programs for international corporations. Where will you do PhD after Moass? I thought about doing a PhD in Norway or Sweden. A friend of mine from high school, who's my catcher in high school, Jeff Blackington, he did his PhD in Sweden in chemical engineering, and he gave up what would have probably been a very lucrative baseball career to become a professor. He was the catcher for the 2003 Rice Owls College World Series champions. He got the game-winning hit off of Houston Street, who wanted to have an illustrious baseball career. And, he handled what might have been the greatest pitching staff in college baseball history. His backup got drafted by the Mariners in the 10th round. And he told the scouts, he's like, no, I'm not playing pro ball. I'm going off to do my PhD. But he was one of the most phenomenal athletes I ever witnessed. And I think he could have been a pro. I think he could have been a major leaguer. But he wanted to do education. He was just a walk-on at Rice as well. I mean, he batted like 360 his freshman year as a walk-on and handled the pitching staff. Absolutely incredible athlete. Just amazing athlete. Where is he right now? I haven't looked on the face space in a while to see what he's up to. But, yeah. Good dude. Very good dude. BTW brand, could these Google Maps be less guessing what the fuck to look for? I know, just like generic parking lots out in the middle of Minnesota. Was that where Jeffrey Dahmer ate people or something? I have no idea. Freethinker McJones, have you ever been to Glass Beach, California, and did you take a piece? I did not take a piece. I actually threw glass out there. It's near Bodega Bay, like Russian River, that area. Glass Beach, if you have a chance, go down Highway 1 and go to Glass Beach. It's very beautiful. Glass Beach, Fort Bragg. That's where it's near. Yes, there's a Fort Bragg on the other side of the country. It's not an actual fort. It was a fort back in the day. But it's literally like a beach full of colored glass, and it is really beautiful there. Go out and throw a bottle in the ocean. And it's really beautiful. Like this whole Highway 1 is just a beautiful coastline to begin with. And then this is the Russian River, I think, that pops out there. South Fork. Yeah. Casper. Mendocino. Little River. Was this Russian River? That'd be Russian River. Shit. I can't remember. But absolutely gorgeous. Oh yeah, Russian River's further south. Yeah. Because that's Petaluma, Santa Rosa. Russian River pops out somewhere over here. And then this is where... Is this Bodega Bay? Might be Bodega Bay. Absolutely beautiful coastline. So slow and windy and gorgeous. And just doing Highway 1 break off of 101 and do this really windy road that takes you over the coastal range, and then head on down south, make your way down, do the entire thing all the way to LA. It is absolutely gorgeous and amazing, and I highly recommend everybody do it. It's beautiful. And then if you get to Big Sur, where's Big Sur? Somewhere in here. There's Big Sur. If you get to Big Sur, make sure you go to the Hearst Castle, which is somewhere in here. It's well worth the admission price. It is absolutely gorgeous, and next time I go, I am going to risk getting arrested and swimming in that goddamn pool, because the pools are amazing, and I'll do it. I'll just do a cannonball on that sucker, and then they'll call the sheriff, and I'll spend a day in jail. They'll be post Moass, so I'll be able to post bail and not care. But I'm going to swim in the Hearst Castle pool at some point. Gorgeous drive. Absolutely gorgeous. Sometimes so foggy you can't see in front of you, and you got to go at 3 miles an hour. But if you get it on a clear, crystal clear day, it's really cool. My young cousin, let's see here. Taylor Gray. Here we go. So my cousin, when he was like 15, he got the cover of Photography magazine, and he's now just an amazing landscape photographer, and he's sponsored by Nikon and does commercials for them, and he does the ads for British Airways and things. So he and his friends try to recreate the Apple backgrounds every year, and they make little videos about their experience. And the Big Sur one is pretty cool. They got to do helicopter rides. So I put a link to it. But they do really amazing stuff. His photography is just phenomenal. It's only 22. And he's doing like wildlife shoots for National Geographic now, and it's really cool stuff. It's absolutely, oops, that's wrong Taylor Gray. Come on, clicky clack. Here we go. So he's doing like nature documentaries for National Geographic and all the natural history guys that are based out of Bristol. There's lots of work for Americans all of a sudden, and he does really cool stuff. I highly recommend checking his things out. Adam Watkins, thank you for Super Chat. I hope you had a question in there. I'll try to get to it if I can. But cool things. Definitely worth checking out Taylor stuff. JT Wisco, hey Houston, can you explain how when I leave a comment for YouTuber, let's say Trey's last video, I get a response from WhatsApp? Thanks in Wisconsin. I don't know. A lot of scammers like to use WhatsApp stuff, and then what they'll do is they'll mock a YouTuber, make an account exactly like theirs, and then so they'll make like a Trey's Trade account. And then they'll like pretend like they're actually Trey responding to you. Like, hey, you want to jump in on this sweet deal I have and trade a bunch of Bitcoin? I'm going to send you a WhatsApp phone number. I want you to call me. And they're just trying to steal a bunch of money from you. Report them, because it's not actually Trey's Trades. It's some scammer in China or Pakistan or whatever that's trying to scam you. So don't contact them on WhatsApp. Total scam. Report the account for being an imposter and a scammer, and get them deleted. All right, Andrew Cole, send me the tropics. Where are we going in the tropics here, Andrew Cole? Bing, bing. Going across the world. We are going to India. Here we go. We are, oh yeah. This is the whatchamajigger place, the Tower of Silence, right? This is the place you're talking about. Tower of Silence, I think, is this building here. Yeah, I was reading up on these things. There's a couple of them. A couple of Tower of Silences in here. So these things are pretty amazing. They're like these weird concrete, they almost look like little mini stadiums. And the Zoroastrianism, which is the first known monotheistic religion in the world, came out of Persia, 8,000 years ago or something ridiculous like that. They believed that any decay whatsoever would poison the soil, so they wouldn't bury their dead and they wouldn't burn them. They would made these weird little uh, uh, almost like rock concrete structures, and they would lay the dead to get picked clean by vultures. And one of the biggest Zoroaster communities that still exists is in Bombay. I didn't know about these things until you sent it to me last night. And man, heavy metal. So they like to set them far away from people, and they would put them miles and miles outside of town. But as towns got larger and larger and larger, started to encroach on these. And then in modern times, they now cremate their dead, and they don't use these anymore. But the first ones date back to thousands of years ago, and they were still using them until like 50 years ago. So there's a bunch here. There's some in Pakistan, and then a bunch in Iran. Pretty wild. If I go there, I go like that. I can do Tower of Silence. Tower of Silence. Yeah, these are heavy metal, man. Like, really just lay the bodies in here and let the vultures pick them clean. And they would put them in these, like, yeah, just metal. Absolute heavy metal. And yeah, there's folks carrying a body into the Tower of Silence to be decayed. And just, what a crazy concept. But they figure like, oh, you don't want to poison the soil, that's where our food comes from. Even though you decay and you become, part of soil, whatnot. Interesting. Ba-ba-bum. Yes, explain scammers. Yeah, scammers are definitely all over these things. I had one for a while that popped up and I got them deleted. I'm sure if my channel ever gets like trade size or Uncle Bruce size, that there'll be just dozens of them. But right now I'm still small enough that I'm off a lot of radars. Mr. Diamond Hands, what's your thoughts on AMC being at $11,000 to $12,000 in the dark pools? I don't think it's $11,000 to $12,000 in the dark pools. The dark pools are where stocks get traded for cheap, and they don't want people to see what they're trading them for, because otherwise they wouldn't be using them. What I think is happening is when people are like transferring their shares, they're transferring from one brokerage to another. They have to transfer the real shares and not synthetics, and so the brokerages have to go out and buy dozens of shares to get one real one so they can transfer. And that's what we're seeing in the price when those transfers happen. They'll say, oh, this transfer over the equivalent of $3,000 a share. And yeah, it's pretty wild. JT Wisco, world's oldest shipwreck brought to the surface in Madison, Wisconsin this week. Really? Is it like a canoe that went down in Madison from thousands of years ago? Weird. The really cool stuff are the shipwrecks in the Black Sea, because the Black Sea is oxygenated only for like the first 100 feet, and then it's deoxygenated below, so nothing decays. Really cool stuff to look up on those. Eric Houston, what do you think are the chances that GME and AMC don't both squeeze at the same time? Very low. I think everything will squeeze at the same time. When we see that pressure and those guys get liquidated, they're going to have to cover everything. Okay, I'm trying to scroll back and see some chats I missed here. And I love chocolate donuts. I did too. I had a chocolate donut today. It was delicious. And then I had a homeless guy tell me that eating the chocolate donuts is going to kill me. And I was like, cool, you're smoking crack. That's going to kill you. He's like, touche. I'm not making that up. I ate a donut before my class, and there was a dude smoking crack in front of the school building, commenting on my diet. Hey, man, I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I exercise regularly. I like to eat garbage. That's my vice. And so far, it's working out for me. If my body changes and I have to give up the garbage, then c'est la vie. But right now, chocolate donuts are delicious. Shane E. Swiss have a really interesting history. Best was Charles the Bold of Burgundy, who wanted the largest empire but kept getting his ass handed to him by the Swiss Confederation. Yeah, the Swiss kind of, after that, were just like, well, we're cool with this. And Switzerland it's mind-blowing that you have 4 official languages there. And everyone just seems to just kind of get along. When you're able to lift everybody up financially and that they're stable and they're comfortable, it's amazing how peaceful and lovely things can be. That's a highly desirable trait in a populace, is a comfortable population. Friend Face McRiffhard says, Houston, are you stoked for the Metalocalypse movie? What? I am very stoked for Metalocalypse movie. They need to, it's been like 7 or 8 years and we're just hanging on a cliffhanger of an ending where Tolkien is dying and we don't know what's going on. I need to see that movie. Yes. And I've seen Death Clock live twice. Brendan Smalls puts on one hell of a show. Man. Yeah. Billy Illy. You taking any steps to prep for supply chain issues? No. I've got food storage. I got food to eat. I'm not too worried. I have friends that have commercial farms that do CSAs. So if I need food, I can definitely get food from them. Where we live on an island, we did run out of gas one day because they didn't have any truck drivers to deliver gasoline to our gas stations, and we just had no gas on the island, which was kind of like what happened in the UK earlier. So we might have that problem, but I've got bicycles and I got shoes. I can walk if I need to. So things aren't too far away from where I am. It's a couple of miles every direction. Deke Slade, who thinks the articles discrediting AMC earnings are already written, no matter what their numbers are? They'll just need to plug in whatever AMC declares. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Okay. Scroll back down here. Iggy Limon. Houston, is it possible to make wildfire stopgaps made of something like hempcrete and scatter them in the Pacific Northwest? I know embers can travel approximately 25 miles with high winds. I've no idea. I don't know if that will do anything. If it can travel 25 miles, then you have to make 25 miles of hempcrete, and then you just get rid of all the trees, I guess. I don't know. I think the key to reducing wildfires is prescribed burns, the way the Native Americans used to do it, and combat climate change. Things are just going to be gnarly. Any thoughts on Mummy's curses? Yeah, curses aren't real. Ain't no dead mummy gonna affect what I do in my life. Board Gamer asked, do you think there'll be a need for having multiple languages around the world for much longer? Always. There's always a top dog that appears. For 1,000 years, everyone who wanted to write a book had to do it in Latin. And it didn't matter if you were English, German, French, whatever, you had to write your scientific text in Latin, and that was the language of science. By the 19th century, German became the language of science. People started writing a lot in scientific articles in German because of all, you got the German philosophers, you got Marx and Jung and Freud, and you've got your scientists like Alexander Humboldt and those folks. And so German and Latin, if you went to grad school in the 1950s, you had to take German and Latin courses because all the scientific literature is going to be published in those two languages. And post World War II is when the United States rose, and so then English became the language of science because the predominant amount of literature is being published in English-speaking science journals. And so then all the scientists have to learn English if they want to get their work published. I wouldn't doubt if the United States collapses and China takes over that all of a sudden we're printing everything in Chinese. So that's where there's always going to be need for languages because there's where I was in Austria when I played baseball. I was in Kufstein, and everyone in Kufstein spoke like 6 languages. They spoke Italian and French and English and Low German, High German, and then the German that was whatever particular to their town. And was it Wurgel? Is that the name of the town that was just south? Wurgel? I can't remember. But there's a town just, a couple of clicks down the road, and they spoke a completely different German than the people in Kufstein, and they couldn't understand each other. They recognized it as German, but it was just garbled compared to what they spoke. So everyone had to speak like a standard German in all these towns, as well as the German they spoke with their families. There's something beautiful about the ability to speak lots of languages, and I totally respect it, and I envy it, and I am terrible at my French. Beans Brigade Gaming, why didn't we get one of those questions yet tonight? Houston, why aren't you DSing your shares? I started the show off with that. I'm not DRSing because it's a pain in the butt. I am not going to be able to sell for the freakish amount I want when I want, and it won't stop naked shorting. If other people want to put their stuff in DRS, more power to them. I just don't think that it's good for me and what I want out of my investment in GameStop. I want absolutely just stupid piles of money in the end. And if you can't sell for more than $1 million, then you aren't going to get the stupid piles of money you want at the peak. Monty asks, are we headed for another civil war? Thoughts? There's lots of folks that will try and hope for it, but I don't think we're headed for another civil war. The number of people that are under investigation and facing crimes now for the insurrection on 1/6, I think is really pumping the brakes on that. And then you got the lawsuits going on in Charlottesville, Virginia, where all those neo-Nazis are facing like billions of dollars in damages, and they are not doing very well in their court case. They are just getting absolutely hammered. And I think financially those folks are done. The way you put an end to those guys is really you make it so financially punitive for them to do anything that they just kind of dry up. In Washington, we have this dude Tim Eyman, and Tim Eyman was like an anti-tax crusader, and he basically destroyed Washington State's transportation budget. Used to be the car excise tax, like your tabs for your license plate, was 2% of the assessed value of the car. So if your car was $10,000, you paid $200. And my car at the time, I had a 1980 Honda Accord with almost 400,000 miles on it that I bought for $300. My taxes were $6. So I had no problem. If you had a $100,000 Mercedes, you're paying $2,000 a year in taxes. So it was a very progressive tax. Tim Eyman had a $100,000 Mercedes, and he was upset. He had to pay $2,000 in taxes on his car. So he got a bunch of signatures and made a flat tax for all vehicles at $30. Well, the ferries, highways, buses, you name it, all were funded by this excise tax on vehicle license plates. And people rallied behind it like, woohoo, let's all go for $30 car tabs. And they did it and absolutely just decimated the state's budget to handle infrastructure. And bus service and ferry service and everything's been suffering for 20 years trying to figure out ways to pay for these things. And then Tim Eyman started doing other anti-tax crusades and trying to make it illegal for taxes to be levied by this legislature and stuff like that. But at the same time, he was doing weird backroom deals where signature gatherers were giving him kickbacks, and he was basically laundering money from the campaigns that he was financing, and then he got busted shoplifting an office chair from a Office Max, and so he's arrested, facing criminal charges, and he got convicted sometime last year, and he's ordered to pay, millions of dollars in restitution for all the money he stole, plus the legal fees for the cases to try him and whatnot. And he stopped paying, so he's now in default with the government, and he's about to get his multi-million-dollar house mansion sold out from under him to pay for the civil defense. So a lot of these guys, it catches up to him eventually. It might take 20 years to take them down, but then they get their head cut off and they can't be active in the community anymore because they've got all these eyes on them, watching them commit their crimes. I think those folks at Charlottesville, they're going to have their pay docked for every day of their life for the rest of their lives. Hammer like the kid from Antioch on trial in Kenosha. Yeah. Yeah. Although the judge in that case seems really weird. I think they can appeal just on the requirements the judge is doing there, either side. No matter if there's conviction or not. That judge does not seem like he's a particularly good judge. Andrew Lai, why is no one worried about Evergrande anymore? I work in consumer finance, and milestones of DQs are 30, 60, 90. Each milestone represents a stage of what we must do to collect. I think lots of folks are worried. The thing is that they aren't going to be able to do any meaningful write-offs until the end of the year. And at the end of the quarter, when they see the reports of like, hey, we lost $50 billion, that's when people are going to start freaking out. Because right now it's not on the books. They're announcing, hey, Evergrande defaulted, Sicknick defaulted, Fairfield defaulted, HNC, what was the other one that defaulted recently? And we're going to start seeing defaults from municipal governments in China as well. And there's $8 trillion in debt that likely can't get paid back by municipal governments to outside foreign investors. So we're looking at trillions that's probably going to have to get written off on the books, and a lot of these folks are not going to have the cash to do it. Pedro Arias, Wade, what's up? What are your thoughts on Log the Float with Jackson and Marcel? Doesn't look like Charlie Vid agrees and is already creating division. Can SEC and hedgies use that against us somehow? Also, bill got passed. Yeah, the Log the Float thing, I haven't really paid attention to what they're asking. There was this thing going around where there's some Twitter, I don't know, call them Twitter whore. Someone was like, hey, everybody who's invested in GameStop needs to follow me. We're trying to figure out who follows GameStop. And I don't really know how that worked. I'll have to talk to Jackson and Marcel because I have not looked into Log the Float at all and see what that's all about. I know nothing. My guess is that they're trying to make a database of everybody's shares. They're more AMC guys, so maybe they're trying to do AMC stuff. I know for a fact that when I was part of the group that tried to get the GameStop at their earnings report in March or so to call for a stock recall, and so we wanted to get as many signatures of shareholders as possible, and people, it's just literally like name and address. That was it. Or email address. I don't think it was a physical address, just email address. People were like, no, you're collecting our information to sell it to the hedge funds. And we're like, no, we're not. We're just doing a change.org petition to say, hey, GameStop, recall your shares. There's naked shorting going on. And folks were really up in arms about that. So anything that collects information, you're going to get the paranoid side going, nuh-uh, we're not going to participate in that. So they may run into, You may run into issues about that. Space Monkey, not a good judge because he recused a jury member because of a joke. That joke sucked and he should have been recused. What about the judge makes you say what you said? The fact that the judge said you can't call the people who died victims. We want the prosecutors to call the people who died victims, but he said they can call them rioters, looters, and criminals. That right there shows a bias that should not be present in the judge, especially since there was no way to show that they had rioted or looted or any of those things. That's grounds that I'm sure there's a protest filed by the prosecution, and that would be enough for them to appeal any decision to a higher court. Based on those grounds alone, and go for a mistrial if that's the case. So that judge is expound. I expounded. There, expounded. Okay. Bum. If Houston, if people started goat programs, 400 plus for each operation, to take care of some of the overgrowth, do you think it could help cut down on some of the required burning? Yeah, undergrowth is a big thing. Like what you have in, we were showing on when we went to Glass Beach, so we could bring up Chrome again. So, well, now we're all the way in India, but we were at Glass Beach in that part of the United States. What we have with climate change is that in the wintertime, the jet stream, starting in November, starts to hammer. It just starts to blow Pineapple Express storms one after another through this region, and they get just dumped on. So where Santa Rosa and Sebastopol and all these areas are in Northern California, they get rain, and really, really heavy dumpings in short periods of time. And when that happens, they get a lot of growth because it's still fairly temperate, like it's still 60 degrees outside, so things will grow in the wintertime, and they get a lot of undergrowth. And then come summer, the jet stream moves very far north, and it dries out for like 10 months. So all this fresh, sprigs of grass and bushes that are like, oh, I'm so healthy. I love, January. Come May, they're just dry, crunchy little things, and one spark, all that underbrush burns like crazy. And they didn't have extremes like that before, where they would just get dumped on in the wintertime and then really, really dry in the summer. And the temperatures are just spiking. So this whole area is running those issues. The Sierra Nevada is running those issues. And, the temperatures are warmer, so the snowpack is concentrated at higher points in the Sierra Nevadas, and below they're getting lots of rain. So they've got a lot more growth of underbrush during the winter months in these areas when normally it'd be under snowpack in years past. And so then it dries out in the summertime and everything burns. Whereas normally that stuff wouldn't start growing until summer. It'd be nice and lush and green because all the snow that was melting around them was keeping them green. So we're going to see bigger, stronger, gnarlier fires as a result of all that underbrush that was never there before. Nature kept the underbrush from growing in a lot of places. And that's one of the issues we're dealing with. There's a really cool, you should read about the flood of 1868. The flood of the Central Valley of 1868 was absolutely phenomenal. They got like 100 inches of rain in a few days or something and just turned this into a giant inland sea. And the accounts of it are absolutely gnarly. I would recommend looking that up. It's a crazy, 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 crazy storm that happened. Series of storms. Bum. Friend face McGriffard, Def Clock is amazing live. I mean, if they ever do another live show, I seriously recommend going to go see Death Clock. When I graduated college, I had a few seasons of the DVDs of Metalocalypse, and my friend wanted to see them, so it's at my mom's house, and she had the DVD player, so we're watching for like weeks on end. We're watching the DVDs. My mom would just sit on the couch and read her book while watching our show, and after like 2 weeks, she puts down the book and just, what have you guys been watching? The music is so good. My mom is now a metalhead as a result of Death Clock. 72-year-old metalhead. But man, they're good live. Brendan Smalls is a virtuoso. He went to Berklee School of Music for guitar. He's absolute just beast. All right, Bro Cape, have a good night. I'll be signing out here in about 6 minutes. That's about what I got. Yeah. I was asking Sears. We got no info on Sears. Sears is still bouncing around all over the place in that weird experts only market. They still have $50 to $80 million in debt they got to pay off, and once that debt's paid off, then they get liquidated and everyone gets their dividend or whatever. Okay. Space Monkey, you're in Kenosha. Says, I live there. Buildings were on fire. It was a riot. It was horrible. Not Washington high fly as you, but I watched it live. I watched it live, in person. It was a riot. It was a war at that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, people were pissed off and were rioting. But that still, doesn't give someone, an underage person, to carry a gun illegally and to start shit with people. And then, when you start shit with people, you end up killing them. That's not self-defense. That is murder, in my opinion. Don't egg people on and then get upset when they fight back. That was my opinion in the Trayvon Martin case, is that we had a guy, Zimmerman, who is a complete nut job, who stalked a child and then got in a fight with him and then killed the child, saying it was self-defense. I think Zimmerman started it. I think Zimmerman's a racist. He is. He's a total racist. And since then, he's gotten in other fights with people and shot at people on the road and beat his girlfriend. And he's a terrible human being. And I think Trayvon Martin did not get justice in that case. The key to protests, to managing protests, is for the police not to confront the protesters. I think if you're going to have a march, you put the police along the sides of the route so that they can protect, maybe glass being broken or whatever. But you don't make a wall saying you can't cross this line, the cops are going to be here, because that's just inviting violence. And then all of a sudden, the protest against police becomes the police as the counter protesters and not somebody who's managing civil unrest. You give them something to fight, people are going to fight. That's what they do. And if you take 18-year-olds illegally carrying guns who have a history of violence and you put them in there to be a medic, but they're walking around with an AR-15 and they're, getting involved in shit and they kill people, then you get folks charged with murder. That's what happens. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video of Rittenhouse where he was punching a girl, sucker punching girls in a parking lot. I mean, this kid is completely unhinged. He is not a good boy. He's a terrible person who punches girls in the face in parking lots outside of his high school. He's a piece of shit. And, I'd say what you will about what was happening in Kenosha in response to the police violence there, but Rittenhouse is not a hero. I don't think he's a hero in any way. I think he's a pretty terrible person whose mom is a terrible person and he was raised to be a terrible person. And, he posts white supremacist shit. He's a racist. His parents post white supremacist shit. They're racist. Everyone who supports them post white supremacist shit. They're all racists. I'm not going to side with Rittenhouse on this one. He started it, and then he killed people. So, yeah. But Space Monkey, love to debate with you in this live stream. Sure, maybe if I can ever figure out how to get people on my own show, I can do that. But yeah, I mean, there's video of the cops saying like, "Go get them, come get some." The cops egging him on to do the violence. And yeah. No revolution. The cops just let him stroll by after shooting those folk. Exactly. If anyone else had done that, the cops had been all over him. But the cops had been, egging him on that entire evening and waiting. The cops are standing back there and they're like, hey, all these bunch of militia dudes are going to bust some heads for us this time around, so we're going to look the other way. They're the same thing in Portland. Portland will put out a curfew, and the cops will walk up to the skinheads and the Proud Boys and be like, "Hey guys, just so you know, there's a curfew, so you might want to step inside that building, and then don't worry, I'm gonna go kick the shit out of some hippies now." And the cops were totally on the side of the Proud Boys in Portland. The Proud Boys weren't Portland residents. None of those guys live in Portland. They come into Portland just to bash some hippie skulls and start riots. And, we've got convictions from where Andy Ngo and those guys at Cider Riot planned ahead of time on video. They're like, hey, we're going to go to this restaurant and we're going to start kicking the shit out of people. And none of those dudes are from Washington. And we've got, Tiny, the Samoan white supremacist guy. I can't remember his last name. He's been banned by the courts from going to gatherings because he's facing criminal prosecution for attacking people, and he's still showing up at these events and no one's doing anything about it. It's It's shit. It's garbage. It's, I side more with the outrage of people being killed in custody or pursuits by the police than I do with the people who are proud of cops killing people. Other countries don't do this. You've got a violent criminal in Germany or Sweden or wherever. They don't get murdered. They get apprehended and taken in, and no one dies. But here in the United States, if you get pulled over for a broken taillight, a cop might shoot you. And it's a pretty terrible system because the cops are scared. Everyone has a gun and is going to kill us. Even though cops are murdered at half the rate as the average citizen. You folks in my chat right now, cops are murdered at half the rate of you. They're actually safer being a police officer than you are being a general citizen of the United States. It's true. You can look up the stats. It's 2.7 per million are murdered of police officers, and like 4.9 per million of the average American citizen is murdered every year. So it's safer to be a cop. It's more dangerous to be a pizza delivery man than it is to be a police officer. It's more dangerous to be a nurse than it is to be a police officer. And yet we've got every jumpy, scared cop in the entire world. And, cops are allowed to be like, oh, I was scared for my life. Boom. But a human being who's being confronted by a police isn't allowed to be scared for their life, right? They're not allowed to be jittery and nervous when they've got somebody with a gun screaming at them. Cops get training, and the average citizen doesn't. So we have just such a weird, violent country that I wish we could do better, and I wish we could, respect fellow human beings, and we didn't have a bunch of sociopaths work in law enforcement, and we didn't have weird laws where people with IQs of 105 aren't allowed to be cops, and I wish we didn't have immunity for police officers. I wish we had a federal agency whose entire job it is to investigate police and to prosecute crimes against them, so it wasn't up to the DAs who have to work with the police every day to do it. We need to make some changes in this country with law enforcement. And the FBI for 30 years has been warning about white supremacists in law enforcement. And every year they come out with a new report. Hey, more white supremacists are working in law enforcement every year, and no one's doing anything about it. So it's a silly system. I don't know how many of you deal with police, but I have not had very good encounters. And I'm a middle-class white dude, right? I had a man who's a convicted violent criminal send me my mother's home address in message, described her home in very, very, very fine detail, and then said he was on his way to go sodomize her. He's like, I'm on my way right now to go rape your mom. Haha, going to get her. I called 911. Cops won't even do a welfare check on my 70-year-old mother, where this violent criminal has a history of rape and abuse and torturing people. And he said he was on his way to go hurt her. And they wouldn't even file a police report. We had to go down to the station the next day and force them to file a police report on this guy. It's total garbage. The cops in my town are better than they were, but not much better. 10 years ago, they were running protection for a brothel and trafficking girls through an illegal speakeasy. And it only fell apart because one of them murdered the brother-in-law of an FBI agent and then tried to cover it up. So, we've got some real issues with law enforcement in the U.S. And so I totally get people freaking out when cops kill folks. I do. The dude they killed on the island here, he was mentally ill. He had called 911 and then hung up, so they went to go do a welfare check. And they knocked on the door and he didn't answer, and then they shot through the door a bunch of times and killed him. And then they said he had come after them with an axe, and there was no axe found, and they showed that he never opened the door, and it was brutal. And it's sad that he had to die to save a bunch of children that were being trafficked through a speakeasy. But, it's just, rah. I can go on rants on that crap all day, man. It was, we need accountability for police officers. We need an agency who will take these investigations that are outside of local law enforcement and investigate complaints against police officers, crimes against the officers may have committed, and then prosecute them outside of the local jurisdiction. Because right now, when a cop gets in trouble, right, like the guy who was killed here on the island, they like, oh, we won't have our officers investigate it. We'll have officers from the next town next door do the investigation. And the officers from the town next door are like, yeah, nothing to see here. Our buddies are fine. So it took the FBI to be like, no, we're going to do the investigation. And look at that. You murdered somebody. And the guy who did the shooting had been a police officer in Los Angeles where he had killed somebody, basically executed them. And the Los Angeles Police Department was like, hey, you might want to resign. Otherwise, we may have to actually charge you with murder. And so he got a job with our department. There needs to be like federal certification. There needs to be licensing for these folks. There needs to be something that gets standardized so that when someone commits a crime in one town, they don't just move across the country and get another police job in another town and do the same thing all over again. Yeah, it's just rah. I had a friend who was a former police officer, heart transplant recipient, drunk man, breaks into the apartment below him, starts beating up a 90-year-old man. This big drunk fucking asshole starts beating up a 90-year-old man. And my friend, is yelling, I'm calling the cops. Leave him alone. Calls the cops. This guy gets pissed off, comes upstairs, breaks in, starts kicking the shit out of my friend who has a heart transplant. And, I don't know if you know anybody who's a heart transplant, your heart doesn't really spool up very quick, and you're not in the best shape in your life to fight off somebody who's twice your size. And the cops come, they take the guy out, and my friend's like, all right, prosecute that guy. He needs to go to prison. And it turns out the dude was on parole after committing another violent crime. He had just gotten out of prison, was drunk, wasn't supposed to be drinking. And he had broken in just on a whim. He just wanted to fight somebody. And the cops were like, no, we're going to let him sleep us off. If you want to do anything, you have to get a restraining order. And my friend's like, I can't leave my house. I'm a heart transplant recipient. But we got to go to the court and get a restraining order. We aren't going to do anything. So he's got to figure out, goes to the court, gets the restraining order filed. 2 weeks later, has to go back to the court, get the hearing, get the restraining order made permanent. The day after this restraining order is made permanent, the guy breaks into his house, kicks the shit out of him again. And the cops still won't arrest him. Why? Because they don't want to arrest people in the community because it makes the crime rates look like they go up and people will be scared and their home values will go down. So there's like, oh, we'll let them sleep it off. And they just keep committing these friggin' crimes over and over again. So what happened? The guy finally committed a crime outside of our town, got arrested, and ended up in jail. But the local cops wouldn't do anything because they don't want the arrests on the record. They want to juke the stats and make the community seem safer than it really is. Oh, look at that. Violent crime doesn't happen at all. It's just a stupid system, man. Brah. All right. Center my chi. Calm down. Yep. And I'm out of water. Yeah. Okay. All right. Peachy Sunday says cops only has one tool, gun. That's what they're trained to use. It's true. Yep. If you want to be in Washington State, if you want to be a cosmetologist or a barber or a hairstylist, you're going to do 2,000 hours of training before you are allowed to actually work in that field making money. If you want to be a police officer in Washington State, it's 700 hours. If I want to cut someone's hair, I've spent 2,000 hours of training. If I want to have someone's life in my hands, it's 700 hours. There's something off about that. I think if you're going to be a police officer, it should be like a military officer. You should have to go to college, get a degree in I don't know, criminal law or something, and learn. And in that degree program, learn about mental health treatment, learn about de-escalation, learn about all these things so that you aren't just killing homeless people or minorities or whatever. We really need to not kill people. Just avoid it if you can. There's other methods. Space Monkey, you mean half people burn down my city? Yeah. I resonate more with folks who are angry about the death of somebody than I do about folks who are angry that property got damaged. A human life matters more than a piece of property. It does. And in Minnesota, after George Floyd, a lot of folks who did a lot of the burning turned out they were white supremacists doing false flags. We got guys that were killing police officers in Vegas. Turns out they were white supremacists doing false flags. These groups admit that they go into these situations and they want to escalate the violence, and they do it openly. And the last administration stopped monitoring white supremacist groups and militia groups as potential terror threats in the United States, and they ran roughshod. And I'm pretty sure right now there's probably a whole bunch of FBI agents that are undercover and working these groups and getting all sorts of information. So yeah, it's I think the next couple of years are going to be very different. It's going to be like after Waco and Oklahoma City bombings. There's going to be some comeuppance for a lot of these paramilitary groups, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of arrests and standoffs, all sorts of things that happen. Okay, let's try to get a happier note. Let's get happier. Christopher Sawchuck says, this one time I dumped a bunch of rubbing alcohol down my bathroom sink and lit it on fire. 3-foot flame shot up and it sounded like a demon oboe. All right, there you go. Yeah. So sorry, Space Monkey, if you had lives destroyed in Kenosha. I'm sorry about that, but we need to. If you don't want riots like that, we need to fix the way we do law enforcement in the United States. That is a direct result of law enforcement practices in the U.S. that are frankly quite racist. And if you want to lower crime, you need to raise people up and make their lives safe and comfortable. People who are safe and comfortable don't commit petty crime. They aren't out there joining gangs. They don't need to. They don't need to do these things to survive. And crime drops and you have less need for police, and you don't incarcerate 1% of your total population, which is absolutely insane. 1 in 100 Americans are currently in jail. When I was in Hawaii, we had a quarter of all kids in the Hawaii public school system had a parent currently in prison. A quarter, right? That is not the sign of a healthy society. Other countries do not have those incarceration levels. Why? Because they work hard at lifting up the middle class and making it as large and as possible so that people have a safety net and don't have to resort to petty crime. And they also don't have systems where like the 13th Amendment, that where folks who are in jail can be essentially used as slave labor. We need to do lots of amending in this country, and we need to fix these problems that are deeply rooted in our society. So there's a lot of room to grow for us, and the changes that need to be made are going to be systemic. They're going to be far-reaching, and they're going to be deep. Otherwise, we're going to be doing the same crap over and over again, and it's not going to get better. We're going to have more riots because some dipshit shot somebody at a traffic stop or whatever. It's just going to happen again and again and again. And then, I don't know. I think the vaccine requirements for a lot of law enforcement officers is clearing a lot of these sociopaths out of there. I think it's a side effect that is actually benefiting a lot of departments. So yeah, we'll see. All right, man. Space Monkey, yes, there is a better way. I know you're not hating on me. You're sending me money right now. But yeah, there definitely is a better way that we can go about a lot of this stuff. There's systemic problems deeply rooted in the fabric of the United States of America that needs to be fixed on the family level, the societal level, the education level, the safety net level, and in law enforcement in general. And we need to make a better place for our citizens and not have a police force that assumes everybody they meet is a criminal. It's, and there are cops out there who are in the job to do that, but there's also a lot of cops out there who have deep-seated personality disorders and they definitely use the what they call it, the qualified immunity to get away with doing their crimes, man. And man, ugh. So yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. But yeah, let's try this on a happy note. let's find some good question in there. Yeah. Because I am tired. I do need to actually go to bed. I'm still getting my ass kicked by this vaccine right now. Yeah. So, but thank you, Space Monkey. Thank you. I do love these conversations, and I do love pushback from folks. I think debate and discussions are very healthy, and we should have more back and forths. And I wish I could get the stupid audio to work when I invite somebody on, so that I just have some 14-year-old nerd come over here and just fix my shit for me. I was that 14-year-old nerd to fix this shit at one time, and now I'm an incompetent old geezer. And I'd like to have guests on the show. I think it would be better for everybody than just me rambling like a rambling pontificator. I love feedback. Okay. Da-da-da. Okay, let's find some happy thing I can end the show on, and then give you guys what you really want, which is the intro yet again. I'm going to scroll up because I did pontificate for like 20 minutes there. Sears question. That's that one. We did that one. It's the wildfire question. Mummy curses question. Did that one. Here's someone talking about chocolate donuts. Chocolate donuts are amazing. I could eat so many of those. I love chocolate. When I was in middle school, they were 25 cents at the Safeway, because that's the only donuts we had available. We don't have any donut stores where I live. And, a kid can find 25 cents on the ground, no problem. So I was just a donut monster. And I love chocolate donuts. Thomas Goodworth. Hey, Houston, if Moass causes US dollar to lose its world currency status, how do you think the government copes once they no longer carry debt so cheaply? I think if the US government is going to be facing runaway inflation, like they're going to be facing runaway inflation anyway, they may as well print enough money to pay off all the debt at once and just be done with it. May as well just be like, man, oh well, we paid it all off. Good luck. And do what other nations have done, which is you just cancel all the current currency, release a new one. Mexico's done it in the past. Zimbabwe's done it in the past. Turkey has done it. You just may need to restart your fiat and start over again. And if we do have runaway inflation, that may be the solution right there. Yeah. Gherkin Houston 2.0. Yes, I should hook up with Gherkin. I gotta watch his options video that people keep recommending to me. Maybe I'll watch that before I go to bed tonight and then have thoughts on it over the weekend. But I love to meet up with the Gherkin again. He's a very, very smart person. I love the way his brain works. And I would love to dive into that more. So yeah, let's do Gherk 2.0. And I want to thank everybody for joining me on Houston After Dark on our Friday. I'll see you guys on Monday for sure. I'm going to a comedy show tomorrow night. Seriously, if anybody's in Seattle, I got an extra ticket to Niles Abston. He's a brilliant comedian. My friend had to move to Paris last minute for a TV show gig and can't come. So I've got an extra ticket. And, see some comedy, man. Let's have a good Saturday night. So hit me up on Twitter if you're in Seattle and you want to go see a comedy show tomorrow night. I've got an extra ticket. But put word out to my friends, and they all seem to be doing things. But Niles Abston's absolutely brilliant. So, yeah. All right, guys. Ready? Ready, monkey butt? You're ready, right? Right? Come here. Come here, monkey. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come say goodbye to everybody. Come on. You went the wrong way. You went down on the floor, and that's where they can't see you down there. But anyway, monkey butt's down here. She says goodbye. Goodbye.